gentleman from Washington, Mr. Heck, who is a leader on this particular issue and an expert for this committee, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, and I thank the panel very much for being here. In particular, Ms. Sharma, I found your story incredibly inspiring. And Mr. Welborn, welcome back. Thank you, sir, for your service to our country, and Semper Fi. So what I've heard from the panel thus far is they uniformly support increased overall capacity and growth in a responsible way for the bank. They do not support concentration caps. And if there are to be carve-outs, they cannot be deductive against the overall capacity. And the panel additionally supports longer-term life for the bank. Me too. I have been a strong supporter of this bank for 2 reasons. The first of which is the competition's in on the action here. Every industrialized nation on the face of the earth has an export credit authority, and I believe every single one has export credit authority activity as a percentage of GDP larger than the United States. And to assert a variation on what Ms. Dempsey said earlier, in the last 2 years, China has extended more export credit authority to businesses than the United States Ex-Im Bank in its entire life. 2 years, China more than our Ex-Im Bank in its entire life. Second reason I support it is markets fail. Now, Mr. Williams often asks, are you a capitalist or socialist? I'm a capitalist, but markets aren't perfect. Markets don't always help small businesses trying to get into this. Ms. Sharma's story is a perfect example of this. Markets don't always support sales into developing countries. The reference to Angola is perfect. Markets don't always provide support for long-lived, large-dollar capital goods, and the Ex-Im Bank does. And they've done this, by the way, in a spectacularly good fashion. In the last generation and a half, if not 2 generations, they've generated billions of dollars and created hundreds of thousands of jobs. They do their job well since 1990, without question. Without question. Now, one of the seriously under consideration's proposal is to provide a concentration cap. I've heard everybody here oppose that. I want to drill down on it, Ms. Dempsey. The most common reason offered for this is risk management, but I read the data differently. I was looking at your testimony where it indicated that the default rate was less than 0.2% at the end of 2014 when we had large business activity, and it's increased to 0.44 something percent. Doubled. The default rate doubled. Now, the truth of the matter is the statutory cap is 2% default. They are still the envy of the private sector for their management of risk. But what that data suggests to me, Ms. Dempsey, is that these large items, long-lived capital goods, are in fact the gold standard of their creditworthiness, and taking them out of the portfolio would be a little bit like an individual removing treasury bills from their portfolio. Do you agree or disagree?
I absolutely agree, Congressman. What we've seen is that the larger exports, the capital goods, are the more secure, less risky. The aviation sector, in particular, has a default rate of 0.009, I think, in the last year, and back in 2015, it was 0.007. That is far lower than the 0.235%.
So it would be counterproductive from a risk management
It would be
standpoint.
absolutely counterproductive from a
There's
risk
no
management.
business case whatsoever to be made for doing that.
There is no business case, and I will tell you, we've seen what other, let's say the French Export Credit Agency has done and how they've operated when they've tried to put these concentration caps in. You have French government officials trying to pick winners and losers. This is absolutely antithetical to the rules put in 2015 that we shouldn't be discriminating against particular exporters.
So in my time left, I just want to say to my friends on the other side of the aisle, they are my friends, stop saying this is taxpayer subsidy. It isn't. It hasn't been for decades. This is a job-generating, revenue-creating entity. It creates jobs. It transfers revenue in the billions of dollars to the Treasury. It is not taxpayer subsidized. Stop saying that. It's not true. This helps America's economy. This helps us be strong. This helps us compete with China and other competitors. That's why I am so glad to hear your testimony here today and the consensus of your high points. Thank you again very much for being here.
Thank you very much. The gentleman